Now, if you didn't know, now you know. Benji Swish, the guy with all the offers, pretty much could go anywhere. But he valued education, so it was a hard decision. It came down to just two schools, Stanford and Cal. And he had to pick Cal. Once he got on campus, things were moving fast. Got right into practice, and he was balling out, making throws that no quarterback there had ever made before. And finding his big play guys exactly where they needed to be, right in the end zone. In no time at all, he went from the QB4 all the way to the starter. And guess who he gets to play his first game again? Now this was his first start, and he had a good reason to get a win. The stakes were high for everybody. Now everyone to know who was going to be leaving with the axe. Now if you haven't had a chance yet, like and subscribe, share this channel. It's going to help me grow. We're going to be telling stories all the time with Benji Swish. He's going to have a very interesting life, very interesting career, so stay tuned. And after the big win against Stanford, he went to his bowl game against NC State, did the same thing over there. That's how his freshman season ended. But this is where it got real interesting. This is where he became a starter from day one. First game was against UCLA. The rain didn't make it any better for Benji. It was already rivalry week, and it was already his first game home as a starter. The jitters were high, but he had to do what he had to do. Coaches getting him pumped, and it was time to go out and show. After a quick start, they were down early, not doing so great, but coach was still on his side. Coach was letting them know, don't worry about it, just keep going out there. So Benji made a point to go out there and do what he always does. Make big throws, extend plays with his legs, and to move the chains 3 downs at a time. See, Benji was what you call a game manager, but it wasn't that great when you have an offensive line that doesn't block very well for you.
Cal uses its second timeout.
And as coach brings us to a huddle, tries to get us composed, Benji does the most. He tries to make a play to get a touchdown real quick before the end of the half. And sadly, things only got worse once the second half started. Trying to make a pass on an out, turned to a pick six. Now we're down 20-0. Coach is losing his patience. I mean, how could he not? This is his first game of the season. And if you didn't think it could get any worse, it could. Benji's just throwing picks at this point. 3 turnovers early, coach is livid. Coach isn't having it. Coach has a guy on the bench that's, honestly, a little better than him. But coach is trying to be loyal to Benji. And Benji's hearing it, but Benji's losing his patience as well. Benji goes out there and tries to regain whatever confidence coach has left in him with one big play, throwing a strike right into the end zone. But it's too late. This game's not going to be won. He's going to have to just watch from the sidelines from this point. See, the last time Benji started on week 1, he was in high school. Guys out there were just doing things that he's never seen before.
No doubt about it, Reese. This was a game circled for a very, very long time. They knew how important this one was. But David, you can't...
After the game, everybody saw what happened. But Benji was doing his best to just keep composure. Not blame anybody. Not blame his line. Do what he had to do in school. Stay a leader. Get his academics right. And consistently stay fit. And on week 2, he got a much better chance against San Jose State. This is the type of team that he could just show out, show what he can do, and try to regain coach's confidence. Only problem is, coach knew that this isn't the type of team that he would be playing against when things matter. Either way, Benji was going to show out. Benji was going to make plays, and Benji was going to make it look good. With not much time left, Benji was going to give it to his running back and let him handle the rest. Even though it was against a no-name opponent, it was a big win. Benji got to show what he could do. He was also able to keep the QB2 on the bench for just at least one more week. But these stats and numbers just look good to people who don't really know what's going on. It's a big week coming up ahead. Playing against University of Minnesota was going to be the make-or-break week for Benji, and he knew it. So he came out, and they brought out the paddles. And Benji had came out ready. He knew everything that he had to do this week. He was making the right passes, but for some reason, guys just weren't catching him. Offensive linemen were getting hurt. He was just trying to figure out. But Benji's going to stay optimistic through it all. I wish we could say the same thing for Coach. Benji came right back out, threw another pick. But he came right back out again and made a huge throw. Coach is starting to wonder, do I have it in me to go for the roller coaster ride that comes with Benji at quarterback? He makes good plays. He makes the right plays. But He makes error throws sometimes. And sometimes, that throw he makes in a flat turns to a pick six. Making the exact same mistake 2 weeks in a row is exactly how you end up losing by 20. It's also the exact way how you end up on the bench. Things were so bad, Benji was getting the news before the coach even told him. And by the time coach got to him, he had lost all respect for him. He was no longer giving the same polite answers he gave before. But Benji knew how things go. He was going to shine in practice, and he was going to shine in the books. That's all he had to do, because he knew one thing about this coach, he was going to play him when it was time to win. Bowl games were on the way, and that QB1 spot was his once again. But as he became QB1 again, he was just thinking about the places he could have went instead. University of Utah just had a guy win Heisman. Benji had never even heard of this guy, but Benji was also #1 on Utah's list. And rightfully so, he was feeling away. So he was going to make sure to go take it out on Oregon. And after 2 years, Benji was feeling away about his draft projection. He had always been a top guy. So how is he now looking at being a third-round pick? In his head, some questions had to be answered. Not from others, but for himself. Was he good enough to really play football? Were there other things he could have been doing? One thing he did know, that this was going to be his last time wearing a Cal uniform. He wasn't going to wear that blue and yellow again. As coach was drawing up that play, Benji knew and he knew. They had separate agendas. Coach wanted to win, and Benji wanted to win too, but Benji wasn't hearing nothing coach had to say. Benji was throwing dots, but still somehow, guys were dropping passes right in the end zone. And the tension was strong. Coach was drawing up the right plays, but we weren't executing. He's blaming everybody, especially me. He had it up to here. Coach was losing his mind out there. It's like he didn't know we were on TV. But that was cool. I had finally made my mind up. I had to throw it to one guy if we had any chance of winning this game. And after actually having some blocking, I got to roll out left and made sure I slid before I got a chance to take any unnecessary hits. And at this point, my trust in anybody but #4 is pretty low, so I use my legs and get windy. I don't know about these guys, but I wasn't going to be the reason why we lost. And if we were going to leave here with one touchdown, I was going to make sure it was me and only me getting it. And if you know me, you know that's not even my mentality. But I've kind of had it up to here with this team. Well, not my guys. My guys showed love. Looking onto the field, I knew our only chance was an onside kick. And if we weren't going to get it, I guess I was just going to be bringing this uniform home with me, which I was perfectly fine with. I hadn't really done much when I was at Cal, and I was honestly ready to get this over with. So once they nailed the clock out, I knew we could shake hands, and I knew I could get up out of here. It was time for me to go. Coach was fake pleased with Benji, but Benji had already been here before. His draft stock has dropped tremendously since he'd been here. When he got here, he was projected to be a late first-round pick. But in just 2 long, yet short years, Benji was over it. I mean, they said he could get extra plays, they said he could do audibles, all of that, but he was looking at his trophy room and it just was underwhelming. He knew he was better than this. He knew that it was either him or the school that was holding him back. It was about that time. It was about that time to enter the transfer portal. Coach was sending messages, saying all the good things to make you stay, but Benji had made his mind up weeks ago. He was entering the portal. Nice knowing you, Coach. And just like it was in high school, Benji had a bunch of options. He had several schools trying to get to him, about 20 of them to be exact, but one school stood out the most. He knew that if football was going to be his calling card, he had to go where champions were made. And after a strong regular season, Benji was looking to play his final game of the regular season against the first team he ever played against once he made it to the Division I level. Now for Benji, it was certain teams he just wasn't going to lose to, especially if they only won one game. This was our chance to have a 10-game season. This was Benji's chance to have a 10-game season, to remind himself and remind others of everything he was before he got to Cal. And with the dominant win, he was ready to go to the Rose Bowl. This was one of the teams that offered him coming out of Cal. This is a team he couldn't lose to. Benji made a choice to choose all white this week. He wanted to make sure they looked good in the pictures once they won this Rose Bowl. At no point in this game was it close. Benji came through, making passes right over the middle. And to put it simply enough, he was just having his way. Making plays with his legs, making plays with his arm, and even making juke moves. You never seen him do it before. Benji wanted to get in that end zone early. And with this touchdown right here, he did exactly what he wanted. Benji wasn't worried about nothing. He was thinking about national championship. He just knew he had to have his focus all dialed up for this matchup right here. With the brief lack in focus, Benji let the clock go down too low and just decided to make a pass to his number one guy. Fortunately, he dropped it. Benji would make sure he knew exactly what play they were running this time as he got his way into the end zone, right over the middle, to his tight end.
As we hit the quarter break, Notre Dame has the lead, and with 3 quarters in the books, with a chance to stay alive.
With the possibility of a national championship so close, and the possibility of the draft stock rising even more, Benji wasn't even going to let the other team get a chance out there. He was going to hold the clock as long as he could, making long drives, and making miraculous passes even when the defense has him. With the game completely out of reach, Benji could have just kneeled the clock out, punted it, played that game, but Benji had to let him know it was me. I got into the end zone. Benji wasn't feeling anything that had happened to him before he had got to Notre Dame. He felt like people had forgot about him. He felt like people had slighted him. And the Rose Bowl championship would be nice, but what he wanted was more than that. He wanted the legacy he was building at Notre Dame to be undeniable. For the guys who've been there, they were excited. They didn't expect to be here at this stage. This is what Benji had been waiting for ever since he got out of high school. A chance to cement himself in history as a national champion. One thing he knew, this game wasn't going to be an easy one. Ole Miss had been building a good program themselves, and most of that was happening on the defensive line. In Benji's first mind, he wanted to keep things simple. But sometimes the way a play is drawn up and then what you have to do out there isn't going to be the same thing. And then sometimes plays pan out exactly how coach drew him up. See, when Benji was at Cal, he couldn't really do much outside of the pocket in terms of extending plays. He would just run. But now he learned how to buy time and give his guys opportunities to make big plays. And Benji was consistently reminded this Ole Miss defense was full of guys who would be playing in the NFL. So the speed that he's used to having doesn't really work out here. Fortunately for Notre Dame, Benji had the awareness to just throw the ball away and get 3. Now this next drive is where things are going to get serious. Ole Miss had a great defense, and so did we. But we knew we had to put up points on the board. Sometimes in football, things are as simple as just going up ahead more than one score. Benji knew if we could get a touchdown before the half and be up 10-0, they probably can't score, so we're just going to be playing a clock game at that point. And what do you know? Benji had an opportunity, and he took full advantage of it. Getting his guy into the end zone, he's dancing, and Benji's loving it too. He's feeling a national championship. He knows that he's going to cement himself, him and his team.
sting for a long time.
Well, Chris, you can only imagine the pain on that losing side. And these players obviously working so hard, these coaches working so hard, and coming up just a bit short. And now it presents a real challenge for this offseason. Will they potentially win a
It's been an amazing run for Benji, but now you just have to figure out what he was going to do next. I mean, he came to Notre Dame on a rental. He came with the intention of showing out, having a good season, and transferring. But he never knew he was going to win a national championship. I mean, he did not believe he could, but that just wasn't his intention. The next few weeks are going to be real interesting, but for now, he was going to bask and celebrate the victory. In one season of play, Benji became the single-season passing record holder for the University of Notre Dame. But even winning a national championship, his draft stock didn't change much. What's he going to do next? Like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Appreciate you.